Welcome to this special Italian wine podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinepodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in. This episode is proudly sponsored by Vivino, the world's largest online wine marketplace. The Vivino app makes it easy to choose wine. Enjoy expert team support, door-to-door delivery, and honest wine reviews to help you choose the perfect wine for every occasion. Vivino. Download the app on Apple or Android and discover an easier way to choose wine. Hi guys, welcome to the Italian Wine Club Clubhouse. My name is Joy Livingston, and tonight I'm standing in for Stevie Kim. This show is called Ambassador's Corner. I'm actually standing in for Stevie tonight because she actually got a couple new dogs today, 2 rescues, and they're busy destroying her house. Very, very cute. Yeah, she has her hands full, so I'm taking over for this evening. If you hear any grunting or snoring, that is my dog, because this week is all about the dog. So, all right. So anyway, this show is called Ambassador's Corner, and I am here with Laika, the Clubhouse organizer.
Hi everyone.
Yeah, hi. So
amazing.
We do these sessions every Thursday at 8 p.m. They are recorded and then hopefully released on the Italian Wine Podcast. We do this to reach more listeners, and it's helpful for those who can't participate just because of the time zone that they happen to be in. But we'll just hope that everything goes, swimmingly tonight, so there's no issues with the recording. So the idea behind Ambassador's Corner is to give Italian wine ambassadors all over the world and wine lovers the opportunity to interview their favorite producer. At the end of this discussion, we will give the audience a chance to participate, and they can ask questions, etc. But right now, we have Marc Millon, who is the host of our brand new show, Wine, Food, and Travel with Marc Millon. And it's awesome, and it's on Tuesdays, and you guys should all listen to it because I love it. But
yeah,
anyway,
definitely.
I know. There's some PR, Mark. Sorry. So basically, he is going to be interviewing Mario Fontana of Cascina Fontana this evening. I think this is the 16th installment. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Is that right?
Yes.
Of Ambassador's Corner?
Yes, it is.
Cool. Okay. And I am going to let Mark introduce Mario, but I'm going to tell everyone about Mark first. Mark became an Italian wine ambassador in 2021. And he's been traveling, eating, drinking, and learning and writing about food, wine, and travel for like 40 years. And he's really interesting because he was born in Mexico with a mother from Hawaii via Korea and an anthropologist father from New York via Paris. So really international guy. And he was weaned on exotic food, like really international. So Mark and his wife, who is a photographer, are the authors of 14 books. And including wine, food, and travel books. And I could mention there's so many. So I'm just going to skip over all the different titles. But he lectures and hosts gastronomic cultural tours in Italy, France, and the British West Country with Martin Randall Travel. And yeah, he's an interesting guy, and I'm so happy to have him on the show tonight. So he lives in the UK. So right now it is not 8 o'clock, it is 7. So anyway, Mark, how's it going? I'm going to ask you a couple questions before you start. Are you there?
Hi, Joy. Hi, Laika. Yes, I'm here. I'm delighted to be here with you. I'm delighted to be part of Ambassador's Corner. It's a series that I've really enjoyed listening to because I haven't been able to meet any Italian wine ambassadors yet, or indeed you two or Stevie or any of the VIA team. So I've been doing all of, the podcasts and everything without meeting you all, but I've been following all of the different podcasts, and it's great to be here and to see some of you joining me as well.
Awesome. Well, we're going to meet on Monday for Wine to Wine, which is starting very soon. On Sunday, there's a tasting panel, and then we've got Monday, we've got the Clubhouse Marathon, because it's going to be awesome. It's going to be 4 hosts, including Mark. That includes Mark, and it's an hour and a half each host, and each host is going to be interviewing various people, either in Wine to Wine or just around the world. And it's just going to go on all day, and people who listen in are going to be able to basically get an idea of what's going on at Wine to Wine, and some really interesting conversations are going to happen. So everybody should tune in on Monday, starting at 12 noon CET, Central European Time. Anyway, sorry, Mark, I forgot to say that earlier, so I took the chance you reminded me. So, Mark, tell us why you selected Mario Fontana as your favorite producer.
Oh, gosh. There are so many reasons I could say. I think, listening to Ambassador's Corner, we've met a host of really great wine producers from all around the country, and each ambassador has their reason for picking the producer they want to really showcase. And I think all of the ambassadors are really proud of their association with the producer they pick. And I'm really proud to be introducing Mario Fontana, who I've known for 30 years. You're right, Joy. I have been doing this for a very long time. I started when I was 2 years old. No, I'm just joking. But I have known Mario for 30 years. I've been drinking his wines for 30 years, and he's a small producer in the heart of the Le Langhe, in the heart of the Barolo wine area, a very small producer making wines that are very, very genuine. Mario makes wines from the heart, and his wines have been a big part of my life. They've been a big part of my life through good times, and we've also gone through some not so good times together. We've shared a lot of things, and no matter what the occasion, there is always wine. There's always Mario's wine. And so they mean a lot to me. And I want to introduce Mario to the VIA community, and indeed to listeners of Italian Wine Podcast, because I really believe in his approach to wine and his approach to life itself.
So what do you think what are the learning objectives that we should expect from the interview that's about to happen?
Well, I think it's really going to be interesting to hear Mario's approach to winemaking. He will be learning about the grapes he cultivates, about his terroir, in particularly some of the MGA vineyards that he has, and really his natural approach to making wines as purely as possible. And that's the main thing I want people to learn from this, of just how the small producer can make really genuine wines, and although he is small, that are now being recognized all over the world. He's winning awards, he's getting accolades in the Gambaro Rosso, and it's great for me. I feel very proud, having seen Mario starting 30 years ago, to see what he's built and created along with his wonderful family.
Cool. Actually, you touched on my next question already, but how did you, 30 years ago, how did you discover the wines of Cascina Fontana? Like, how did you stumble upon them? What was your first introduction?
Well, actually, Joy, that's a really interesting and rather long answer to that question. But basically, Kim and I had been writing a book, The Wine Roads of Italy, in 1990. The book came out in 1991, and then another edition in 92. But we had been in Italy for over a year, and when we returned to our small town here on the River Exe in Devon, southwest England, an Italian had moved into town and opened a wonderful restaurant, a really genuine Italian restaurant called Nello's Ristorante. And this was Nello Gezzo, who quickly became my best friend. And I helped him with his wine list, and that restaurant was like a second home to me, and really to our whole community. And one day, we had a telephone call. Nello called me up and he asked me to come around because he had heard that a young wine producer had driven over from his vineyards in Le Langhe, in the Barolo wine hills, with a van full of wine, and he was looking for serious restaurants who might be interested in buying his wine. So I went around. The restaurant was 5 minutes from my house, so I went around and met Mario for the first time, who 30 years ago he was a very young man, and he was really there to really, it was quite a brave thing to do to there's no Channel Tunnel, and he just drove across France and got on a ferry boat with a furgone, a white van full of his wine, and he was looking for serious restaurants where he could create some relationships. And that's really where it started. But it became much more than that, because Mario used to come out twice a year. We would shift about 100 cases of wine down into the cellar, and then we would spend a day or two, drinking wine and eating and getting to know each other, and this strong friendship developed. In 1997, Nello and I were great cycling chums. Of course, Joy, you met me first when I was writing and talking about the Giro d'Italia. Cycling is one of my passions. And Nello and I cycled from Topsham, Devon to Venice. My mother had lived in Venice, and Nello himself was from the Venetian Lagoon. And so we decided to cycle. My mother had died very young, and it was a way to raise money for cancer. And along the way, we had various stops, but the most memorable was when we cycled into Alba, and Mario was there to greet us. The sindaco of the town was there to greet us in the comune, and it was just a great moment. And of course, that night Mario's mother cooked a wonderful meal. I can remember it still: the agnolotti al plin and brasato al Barolo, and we drank a great deal of wine to fortify us for the rest of the journey to Venice. So this is a friendship that developed over a long period, and as I say, there have been some good times and there's been some not so good times, but the friendship has really, really continued. We've had some tragedies we've gone through together, but through it all, there's friendship and there's wine, and that's what this is really about.
Well, it sounds awesome, and I would say that my time has now ended. It's up to you, Mark. I'm going to give the floor to you. And hi there, Mario. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Mario. Okay, so you guys take it away. I'm going to mute myself now. Take care.
Okay, thanks, Joy. Well, okay. I'll just introduce to our group Mario Fontana, who, together with his wife Luisa and sons Eduardo and Vasco, the proprietors of Cascino Fontana, which is a tiny estate, 5 hectares, dedicated exclusively to the cultivation of the classic grape varieties of Le Langhe, Dolcetto, Barbera, and Nebbiolo. And Mario's vineyards are located in some of the best zones of production in the comune of Castiglione Felletto. It's a wholly traditional estate that respects and above all follows the culture, traditions, and the history of Le Langhe. And Mario oversees everything himself, from tending the vineyards to making the wines to taking them around the world to sell them. So it's very much a small operation of the highest quality. Ciao Mario, come stai? How are you tonight?
Ciao Mark. Everything is okay. We have finished harvest yesterday, so now we are really we start relaxing time.
You've got a lot of work still to do in the cellar, though. I saw a little video today of the Barolo, the Mosto di Barolo, the Nebbiolo for the Barolo. It looks like you're doing the rimontaggio, the pumping of the must back over the skins, and all of that work in the cellar. You don't get an easy night to sleep just yet, do you?
Yes, sure. Now is like to have a small baby nella culla, okay? And so we need to have the maximum attention. In fact, we at the start we need to pumping over the wine from for a long time, for a few time a days, from the early morning until later in the evening.
Okay, and is that all done now with the Barbera? The Dolcetto is the Dolcetto. You don't have to worry about anymore. That's completely ready now to leave. Is that right?
Yes, the Dolcetto is we can start to drink. Is we have yet Reiki 2 times. Is yet ferment, and also we have yet press and Reiki 2 times. Now is outside to the cellar in a tank for to keep the cold temperature of the night.
Okay, so the Dolcetto now is in that tank with the cold stabilization, which we'll talk about later. But I recall you said the Dolcetto is ready to drink. I can remember, Mario, being with you at this time of year, and it's a really exciting moment because you would go down into the cellar and just draw out some jugs of the Dolcetto. Still a little bit sweet. The fermentation isn't really complete, but there's that sweet, frothy mosto di Dolcetto. And I can recall we would sit around the campfire and roast some chestnuts and drink that wine that's not yet wine, and it's very much an autumn ritual. It's something that is of the season, of this moment of the year.
Yes, the first perfume that I listen in normally in the autumn is the perfume of the Dolcetto wine. Is really typical for me, and when I listen this kind of perfume, I understand that the autumn will be start very early, and also I think for to change a little bit the food in the house. We start to eat pepperoni or autumn vegetables like cardi or barbabietole, or it change also the food in the house because the season is changing. Also, we changing our lifestyle.
Yeah, I guess it's just that change of the work in the vineyard is finished, then you move into the cellar, the autumn foods, the bagna cauda soon, and then of course moving into more wintry foods. Mario, you created Cascina Fontana yourself. Was it 1994, 1995 that you began your own activity?
Was in 1994 in December, because the last vintage with my family winery was in 1994, and I decided during the summer of '94 to start my own project in winemaking. But I helped my family to make the '94 vintage. And after that, I leave for and open a Cascina Fontana winery.
I remember those days, Mario. It was a very brave thing to do, but also very difficult. And you were starting really from scratch to create a new label, a new winery, and you moved to Perno. And I can recall those early years of hard work, and it's I'm so glad to see the success you have now, but I know that it didn't come easily. And meanwhile, your family has grown up, and it's great to see you in the new house that you and Louisa built with the wine cellar underneath. And I can imagine now that those big Barolo barrels are full, and that the smells in the house of the fermenting wine. It's a happy time of year, and it's well deserved for all the hard work that you've done.
Yes, it was hard, really hard, because when I restarted in my new winery with my personal concept in a wine, was also a very difficult moment for the classical style wine and the traditional way wine. And for me was really hard to believe in me. But I not change my concept in the wine for to follow the market concept wine or to follow only the money or convenience money. But I want to continue produce wine following the old concept in the wine. So classical wine, traditional style, and the wine where a seller where the wine not follow the man, but is a man that follow the wine.
I remember you telling me your concepts of wine and what you learned from your grandfather Savario. And, you're the sixth generation of wine growers in the Fontana family. So there are a lot of generations that know the land, know your vineyards, and passed on this intimate knowledge to you. And I know that you've been very respectful of the tradition and the traditional way of making wine. What would you say that you learned most from your forefathers, from your grandfather, and how has that impacted on your philosophy as a winemaker? Really, I guess what I want to mean is, what I think I'd like us to know is, what does it mean to you to be a traditional producer of Barolo?
I think that for to answer this question, we need to have more of one day, but I can try.
We need a bottle of Barolo.
Maybe two.
Yes.
or a Magnum is better.
Yes.
But sure. In the first to produce wine is to follow and to show a kind of etica morale. I don't know in English the name.
No, you're talking about being ethical in all ways, and in I guess you mean the vineyard, in the way you treat the vines, but also in the way you deal with life.
Yes, is because the wine is for sale, sure, but our person and our thinking is not for sale. Our anima,
the spirit, your soul.
Is not in for sale, okay? Vendita, come si dice? Is not for sale. And when I decided to restart to produce wine or continue produce wine like the other generation, so following the pure style, artisanal style, for me was also a way to feel good, feel me good, okay? Mm-hmm. And also is a way to maintain my morale etica. And also for me was not good to change the wine vision, okay? Just only because the market asked that, okay? The business asked that.
We're talking about a time when there was this sort of tendency to be the modern style versus traditional.
Yes, okay. Yeah. And in the time, I prefer to respect the work and that my family, other generation, that from nearly 200 years, they do in the same way for to arrive to produce this kind of wine and for to show in the world our wine, our style wine. Okay, and I think that this is one of the most important reasons that drive me to not change style in winemaking.
Okay, and it's also not just the way of winemaking. I know that you believe very much that wine begins in the vineyard, and the way you treat your vineyard in terms of the pest control, using natural manure, when you're making your wines, using the natural yeast on the grapes, not putting in a cultured yeast. All of these factors are part of being what you mean being a traditional winemaker, is making wines respecting what your ancestors, what your generations before have done. Can you explain some of those things that you do?
Yes. Respect is a word that we follow in a different part of the work that we do to produce wine. Sure, to produce wine in artisanal way, you are we are obligated, okay, to follow organic concept in vineyards, okay, and also to produce quality grapes, a kind of quality grapes that give us a possibility to produce this kind of wine, classical style, so elegance and finesse. So, example, we in the vineyards, we not looking not work for to have a big concentration, super alcohol, or super concentration or extract in the wine. But we prefer to follow the work in the vineyards, leave the grapes enough for to have a balance in the wine. Some vintage we produce a lot of grapes for not to have extreme concentration wine. Or example, we prefer to use manure is a fertilizant for mountain, because in the mountain the cow have eat natural grass and not contaminated, and they are not contaminated with a lot of things that is possible that can have in other concept of cow farmer. Is very pure manure. It is a manure that is 2 years age before that we use, so have only incredible benefits for the wines, and have a very low. They give in very low way the elements at the vines. This kind of manure, because several times my grandfather tell me, Mario, the vines are like a man. Okay, depends how you keep this man. If you keep this man in with good food, and you not push so hard, and you respect this man, and you not go in a control against, you can have incredible a lot of satisfaction. Okay, it's the same for the vines. We must to follow the vines. It's not possible for us to decide on the desk what kind of vintage will be have next year, or what kind of wine we will have tomorrow. Okay, no, we not decide nothing. We can only follow, and follow in the best way for to have our concept in a wine with this kind of work.
Yes, I see what you mean about following each cycle of year. And I know you've spoken to me about this, about how you don't really think that you could say one year is better than the other any more than you could say one child is more favorite than another child. They're all different, and your job is to allow the grapes to express that particular terroir, but also that particular year, that growing season. Let's talk about the Cascina Fontana Barolo. Berry Brothers and Rudd, one of the oldest and most respected importers in London, who you work with, say that of all the Barolos on their very famous and considerable list, yours are the most Burgundian. I guess this is, I take this to mean from what you've just said as well, that they're the most restrained, perhaps the most elegant. Is that what you're trying to achieve when you make Barolo? The style of Barolo that you're trying to express.
There are some people that think in Barolo like a wine, strong, black, with a big concentration. No, the Barolo is elegance, finesse. The original Barolo is a wine that you can drink and only enjoy without feel some in your mouth that there are some elements in your mouth that are more upper than the other. Okay, is a question of balance, of elegance and finesse. To produce this kind of Barolo, is really important. The first, the work in the vineyards, so not concentration in the vineyards. So also not have high density of vines by the hectare, but have low density by vines by hectare, for to have more grapes each vines. And also in the cellar is in the first is really important to make natural start from the fermentation, because there is the origin of the DNA is there. The DNA in the wine is formed when the fermentation starts. If you change this part of the wine, you change the DNA of the wine. If you use selected yeast to bring the wine to be different than the original, because you need the mark that, or you need the wine more black, more juicy, more cherry, more strawberry, is you lost the origin, okay? But if you have a natural start and also you have natural fermentation without using temperature control, is another important point. We don't use, we don't have a tank time with temperature control. Also, if in example for us is very important to keep from the skin the structure in a wine, but in very low way. In fact, the grapes, when arrive in the cellar, are only distemps, not crash. Okay, so the skin going in a tank with the most nearly not pressed, but come si dice? Okay, nearly intact.
Oh,
okay, nearly intact. And in this way, there is more slow extraction in the wine. And also, in that time, without using selected yeast, we have a possibility we have 2-3 days before the fermentation start to make the pumping over and for to have extraction of the red fruit, more soft fruit, more red fruit, not black, and for the freshness of the wine. And at the end, we use for Barolo to make long maturation. Long maturation that depends from the year, can be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks long after the fermentation to have more extraction from the skin. The last extraction from the skin is what permits the wine for to aging from very very long time. So it is the Barolo classical style way for to have origin, for to have elegance, and for to have finesse. But also this wine will be very balanced. Need a little bit more time for to arrive for the balance, but it will be really really fine and very pleasant
Yeah.
for to drink.
As you know, I'm a great fan of your Barolo, and particularly, I know the vineyards you have in Castiglione Falletto. You're now making a Comune di Castiglione Falletto Barolo from the Cru Villero and Mariondini, the Valetti Mariondini wines. What would you say is, with the Comune di Castiglione Falletto style compared to, say, La Mora or Barolo? Is there a classic Castiglione Falletto style?
Castiglione Falletto is a part of the terroir of the Barolo area, situated in the center of the Barolo area. In the north part of Barolo, there is the part of La Morra and Verduno. Also, Barolo is the soil there is more rich on organic things because it's more younger than the other part. And so the wines work more hard. There are in that part there is another kind of vegetation for the vines, and the grapes and the wines are more richness in juicy because the part of richness part of of the soil give this wine a kind of wine ready for the drink, more young, but also very rich in the juicy. Okay. Also, it's possible to age in this kind of Barolo, but not like the Barolo that is from other part of the Barolo area. Other part of the Barolo area is example are common in Monforte, Serralunga, Castiglione Falletto. This part of the terroir is more old origin, is origin Helvetiane, okay, Helvetian period, and they have 12 million years of origin, and in this part of the soil is more poor than part of La Mora that have only 7 million year origin because it's a Tortonian origin. Okay, so this part of the soil more older present on the soil different characteristic. Is more pure, is more limestone, and also part of the sabbia, sand, also sand. And the wine that are made on this kind of terroir are wine less rich of juicy, but more rich of minerality, of structure in the wine, but also the tannin are very, very silk and very elegant. So our wine that evolving more slow way, and wine for to keep really very long time, but for drink, for to waiting some years more before to drink. So there are two big area in Barolo, more youngest area and more older area, and it's possible to produce very good Barolo in the both part of the soil. But from Lamora is more richness and for to drink more younger and richness in juicy. For Lunga, Castiglione, and Monforte is a soil more older, and so in the our wine for to keep more long time. Castiglione Falletto is in the center. Castiglione Falletto have a characteristic of elegance and finesse and also structure. Is not have a part of the juice of La Morra, but also not have a part of a big, really big structure of Serralunga d'Alba, example. So the balance in the Castiglione Falletto is nearly perfect. And I enjoy to exalt in winemaking this part, this characteristic of the soil. And example, we have MGA Villero and MGA Mariondino. Is Valletti, the name of the parcel in Mariondino, and and are very close. Are about less than 1 kilometer of distance or far. But Villero is limestone, a little bit sandy, and is given the wine characteristic of really finesse and elegance. Also in the perfume, are very richness in the perfume, but elegance and finesse. The part of Mariondino and our parcel Valletti is similar. The terroir is similar to Villero, but is not sandy. Is more compact. And from this soil we have a part of minerality and the structure in the wine. So it's a natural, very good blend. Because we have elegance finesse with Villero, and also we have a structure and minerality from Valletti for our Barolo Castiglione Falletto.
Okay, that's really fascinating to hear, Mario, and especially for Italian wine ambassadors. You know, we've been studying soils and learning about different eras, but to hear about that very, very clearly explained with how the soil changes through the different epochs, these simply, matters of millions of years that now have such a profound effect on the soil, and that subtle difference between Mariondini and Villero. So that's a really, really useful way and very beautiful way to explain the wines of Castiglione Falletto, in particular your Barolo. Now I just want to mention one more wine, and then perhaps we'll talk a little bit about food. But when you were 50, you decided to play around in the cellar and make a wine that I never thought that you would make, using Barolo, Nebbiolo grapes that could have been Barolo to make a natural wine, a wine without any sulfur at all, a simple Vino Rosso. And this wine has actually been a huge success. I was in the Banca del Vino in Polenzo, the slow food repository, this great collection of wines from all over Italy, and your AAA Vino Rosso was in the Banca del Vino in the permanent display. It's a wine that has had a huge success, and I wonder, was that a surprise to you when you first decided to begin to make it? I'm actually sipping a glass right now of the 2016, which I think was the first year you made the wine.
Sometime when in the life when you arrive at 50, you want to change something I think. But for me, to produce this kind, the wine without sulfite and was simply a try, that I want to do because there was too many people that asked me about what I think about the wine produced without sulfite. And ever I tell then, I don't know, because I never try. And honestly, I think that it wasn't possible to produce high quality wine without sulfite, because the other other enologist or other winemaker or other person in winemaking, ever they tell me, Mario, no, it's not possible to produce wine without sulfite because the wine will be defect, volatile, alta, high volatile, or reduction, or breath, or a lot of things, or oxidation. So in 2015, there was a really great vintage, and from Gallinotto Vineyards is a cru of Barolo of property of my wife that we use for Barolo Classico, for the blend of Barolo Classico with Cassione Falletto. 10 lines of vineyards for to produce a little tank of wine without add sulfite, just only for to try. Was curious, and I do that. I use a simple. I made the wine like I use to produce other wines, but only I not add the sulfite. And I used fiberglass tank and made fermentation. And after in the winter, I start to try. And my big pleasure was when during the winter, a selector of AAA distribution of Italian wine distribution, especially in natural wines, come in the winery to try the wines, because I know is Alberto Farinasso. I know very well. We try all the wine. At the end, I give this Nebbiolo without sulfite to try to Alberto, but I wasn't so sure to do or not him to try or not, because honestly I was a little bit vergognato, scared of this, because in our Barolo area, we was really farmer, but after the Barolo start to sell very well in the world, too many person having a little bit aristocratic atteggiamento, attitude. And also some other winemakers looking in me something of worse when they know that I start to produce this kind of wine, just only for to try. But okay, Alberto Farinasso try, and so we start a collaboration with AAA distribution of Velier in Italy of this wine, and sure was money that was possible that. At the start, I think that lost a lot of money, because it was better to sell a bottle of Barolo than red wine without sulfite, because the price for Barolo is $3. But this wine gave me big satisfaction, also for commercial business. Business. Because Velier sent this wine in a lot of part of Italy, and this wine was in the hand of a lot of restaurant and wine bar, enothek, and in Italy in that time I sell nearly nothing. My sale, my most big part of sale was outside Italy. And from this adventure after the wine was this kind of wine was in Italy, incredible, a lot of people ask us also for others wine, Barolo and Dolcetto, Barbera, Nebbiolo. And in 2 years, we arrived to sell the 40% of our production in Italy. And so we turn the wine from export to Italy for 40%. So it was incredible success for this wine.
That's incredible. And I remember when you made the wine, for every box of 6, you had a different color label in each bottle. And you said to me, well, I don't know how this wine's going to evolve. Each bottle might be different. I'm drinking the 2016 right now, and it's still, well, I think what's most striking about it is the purity of the fruit. It still has the most gorgeous fruit coming through that's very intense. And, I think that's a credit to the quality of the grapes that you grow and to how well you make wine. Because it's a beautiful wine, very different from Barolo, very different from your Langhe Nebbiolo. But it's a wine I love, and I'm not surprised it's been such a success. Now, finally, Mario, we're approaching the end of our chat. It's been so nice to catch up with you. Have you eaten dinner yet? I'm just wondering what you're eating. I've had so many good meals in your house, and it always makes me hungry just thinking about it. So have you eaten? Are you about to eat? What's on the menu for tonight? What are you eating?
No, I not have. I not eat this evening, and honestly, my wife asked me before what I would like to have for dinner, but I tell she that I don't know in that moment because I won't make a concentration for this live interview. But about Cascina Fontana wines, if I needed to make a menu with our wines, I can start example with Dolcetto, with a glass of Dolcetto with like nearly aperitif or with antipasti. And after I like to suggest an Barbera d'Alba with a really great taiaring ragu, with a really, really strong ragu and Barbera d'Alba. And for the second, I like it for the main course. It's possible to have or Barolo, young, sure, or Langhe Nebbiolo. And sure, I like it to have a Brasato Barolo with Nebbiolo or Barolo wine, but young, not old. With the cheese, I like it to have Nebbiolo senza sulfiti, the red wine, but a little bit cold. For to separate from the for even stop, okay, a break with the cheese. I like it to have a sweet cheese or also a little bit aged cheese, but soft, with Nebbiolo senza sulfiti, cold service, okay. And with the with the dessert, I like it to have, example, torta di nocciola, hazelnut cake, with a Barolo bottle. For me, Barolo bottle means to drink a Barolo with 20, 25, 30, 40 years. Okay. For me, that is Barolo. For to drink, just only for a little bit piece of cake, hazelnut cake, or a biscuit.
Wow, you've made us all hungry, Mario, wherever we are listening. It's been a wonderful chance to talk. And, I haven't seen you in a little while through this crazy period we've all lived through. But I'm delighted that you and Luisa will be going to Taormina next week. Is that right? And we perhaps can meet up. I know that some of the other Italian wine ambassadors will be down there with me. And it would be great if those who are listening and others who may listen later will have a chance to meet you. So I'm really looking forward to catching up with you.
Yeah, so Joy, are you here with me?
I sure am. It was a wonderful.
I'm getting hungry, I swear. After listening to Mario.
Yeah, me too.
And Mario didn't even mention that we're now, of course, coming into the exciting season of the Tartufi Bianchi di Alba, which is also a special moment of the year and a wonderful food specialty that is linked intimately to Alba.
Well, I know that normally we would I have a few questions, but the problem is that we are almost at the hour. And so I'm going to take the opportunity to thank Mario and his son Eduardo for kindly interpreting. We could hear him every so often helping his dad out. So I think that's really sweet. And Mark, you know what I would say? If anybody has any questions for Mario or Mark, you feel free to just ping us on Instagram or just send us an email at the Italian Wine Podcast, info@italianwinepodcast.com, and we will happily pass them along. I'm going to close it up now. Mario, grazie mille. Thank you.
Grazie Mario. E a presto.
Ciao, grazie.
Grazie a voi. Ciao Marco, ci vediamo a Taormina. Sì, ciao, grazie.
Once again, here we go.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.
Guys, I'm Joy Livingston and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.